Before the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in 1986, NASA management officially estimated the probability of catastrophic failure at 1 in 100,000. That's about the same odds as getting struck by lightning while being attacked by a shark. The engineers working on the actual rockets, they estimated the risk at closer to 1 in 100. That's 1,000 times more dangerous than what management believed. Now, both groups had access to the same data, the same flight records, the same engineering reports, so how could their conclusions be off by a factor of 1,000? The answer isn't about intelligence or access to information. It is about mental frameworks they used to interpret that information. Management was using models built for public relations and budget justifications, while the engineers were using models built for physics and failure analysis. Same inputs, radically different outputs. The invisible toolkit they used to think were completely different. Your brain doesn't process raw reality. It processes reality through models, simplified representations of how things actually work. And the quality of your thinking depends entirely on the quality of your mental models you possess. Now, by the end of this episode, you will have 3 of the most powerful mental models ever developed. Think of it as a starter kit. 3 tools that work together, each one strengthening the others. The same tools that NASA engineers were using while management flew blind. So let's get working on building your toolkit. Now, a mental model is a representation of how something works. It's a simplified view of it. It's a framework your brain uses to make sense of reality, predict outcomes, and plays a crucial role in making decisions. You already have hundreds of them. You just might not realize it. When you understand that actions have consequences, you're using a mental model. When you recognize that people respond to incentives, that's a model too. Think of a mental model as tools. A hammer drives nails. A screwdriver turns screws. Each tool does a specific job. Mental models work the same way. Each one helps you do a specific kind of thinking. One model might help you spot hidden assumptions. Another model reveals risks you would otherwise miss. A third might show you what success requires by first mapping out what failures look like. The collection of models you carry with you, that's your thinking toolkit. And like any toolkit, the more quality tools you have and the better you know how to use each one, critical here, the more problems you can solve. But here's the problem. Research from Ohio State University found that people often know the optimal strategy for a given situation, but only follow it about 20% of the time. The models sit unused while we default to gut reactions and habits. The goal isn't just to collect mental models. It's to build a system where the right tool shows up at the right moment, and that starts with having a few powerful models you know deeply, not dozens of ones you barely even are aware of. So let's add 3 tools to your toolkit. Tool number 1, the map is not the territory. This might be the most foundational mental model of all. It's coined by a philosopher, Alfred, now I'm going to botch his name, Kurzbowski, in the 1930s. It deserves a simple but profound insight. Our models of reality are not reality itself. I live here in Colorado. A map of Denver is not Denver itself. It's a simplified representation that leaves out countless details. The smell of pine trees, the feel of being at 5,000 feet elevation, the conversation happening at that corner cafe. Now, the map is useful, but it is not the territory. Every mental model, every framework, every belief you hold is a map. Useful? Absolutely. Complete? Never. This explains the NASA disaster. Management's map showed a reliable shuttle program with an impressive safety record over history. The engineer's map showed O-rings that became brittle in cold weather and a launch schedule that left no room for delay. Both maps contain some truth, but management's map left out critical territory: the physics of rubber at 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, when your map doesn't match the territory, guess what? The territory wins every time. So, how to use this tool? Before any major decision, ask yourself, what is my current map leaving out? What is it leaving out? Who might have a different map of the same situation, and what does their map show that mine doesn't? The NASA engineers weren't smarter than management. They just had a map that included more of the relevant territory. Okay, you got it? Map, that's tool one. Right? Talking about your maps, not the territory. Let's go on to tool two, inversion. Now, most of us approach problems just head on. We ask, how do I succeed? How do I win? How do I make this work? Inversion flips the question. Instead of asking how to succeed, ask, how would I guarantee failure? What would make this project totally collapse? Where's the surest path to total disaster? Then, avoid those things. Inversion reveals dangers that forward thinking misses. When you're focused on success, you develop blind spots. You see the path you want to take and ignore the cliffs on either side. So here's a surprising example. When Nirvana, the band, right, came out with their record Nevermind in 1991, they had a budget of just $65,000 to produce it. Now, bands at the time were spending millions on polished productions, but instead of trying to compete on the same terms and failing, they inverted the formula entirely. Where the other bands were flashy, Nirvana was raw. Where others added complexity, they stripped it down. Where the industry zigged, they zagged. The result was they didn't just succeed. They created an entirely new genre and sold over 30 million copies. They won by inverting the game everyone else was playing. So how do you use this tool? Before pursuing any goal, spend 10 minutes listing everything that would guarantee failure. Be specific. Be ruthless. Then look at your current plan and ask, am I accidentally doing any of these things? Inversion doesn't replace forward planning. It completes it. Tool number three, the premortem. We all know what a postmortem is. I'm talking about premortem. Imagine your product has already failed, not might fail or could fail. Think about it. Imagine your project has already failed completely. Now your job is to sit back and explain why. Researchers at Wharton, Cornell, and University of Colorado tested this approach and found something really striking. Simply imagining that failure has already happened increases your ability to correctly identify reasons for future problems by 30%. 30%. But why does this work? When we think about what might go wrong, we stay optimistic. We protect our plans. We downplay risks because we're invested in success. But when you imagine failure has already occurred, we shift into an explanation mode. We're no longer defending the plan. We're forensic investigators examining the wreckage left over. Here's proof the premortem works in the real world. Before Enron collapsed in 2001, its company credit union had run through scenarios, imagining what would happen if their sponsor company failed. If Enron went under, the Enron credit union, what would happen to it? They asked, if it goes under, what do we do? And they made plans. They reduced their dependency. And when the scandal broke and Enron totally imploded, taking billions in shareholder value with it. Guess what? The credit union survived. They'd already rehearsed the disaster. Every other institution tied to Enron was blindsided. The credit union had seen the future because they had imagined it first. So, how do you use this tool? Before any major decision, fast forward to failure. Not that could failure happen. Imagine it if the failure happened. Think of it as 1 year from now and everything has gone wrong. Write down why. What did you miss? What risks did you ignore? Then prevent those things from happening. You can't prevent what you refuse to imagine. So, you now have 3 tools. Now, the real power comes from bringing them together. While each tool is powerful alone, together, they are transformational. Imagine you're considering a career change, leaving your stable job to start a business. Start with the map is not the territory. What's your current map of entrepreneurship? Oh, it's probably shaped by success stories and LinkedIn posts and survivorship bias. But what's the actual territory? CB Insights analyzed over 100 failed startups to find out why they died. You know what the number one reason was? This was shocking to me. The number one reason was responsible for 42% of failures was that the companies were building something nobody wanted. Founders had a map that said, customers will love this. The territory said otherwise. What is your map leaving out? Then apply inversion. How would you guarantee this business fails? Starting undercapitalized, launching without testing the market, ignoring every warning signs because you're emotionally invested. Now look at your current plan. Are you doing any of these things? And then third, run a premortem. Think of it as 2 years from now. The business has failed. Write the story. Maybe you ran out of money at month 14. Maybe your key assumptions about customer behavior turned out to be wrong. What happened? One tool gives you perspective. These 3 tools working together give you something close to wisdom. This is exactly what the NASA engineers were doing and what management wasn't. The engineers were constantly asking, does our map match the territory? What could cause failure? What are we missing? Management was stuck in a single frame, schedule and budget. The difference between a 1 in 100,000 estimate and a 1 in 100 estimate, the difference between confidence and catastrophe. It was the thinking toolkit each group brought to the problem. So let's practice. So here's how to put these tools to work this week. Identify a decision you're currently facing. Something real. Don't use a made-up one. Bring this in and apply it to your real task. Something that really matters. Now write it down, write this decision down in 1 sentence. So then check your map. What assumptions are you making? Where did they come from? Who might see this differently? Next, invert it. Set a timer for 5 minutes. List every way you can guarantee failure. Be absolutely ruthless. Run the premortem. Think about it as 1 year from now. You chose wrong. Write 2 paragraphs explaining what happened, how it failed. Now go back, find the overlap. Where did your inversion list and your premortem story agree? That's your highest risk blind spot. And then take 1 action. What's 1 step you can take this week to address your biggest risk? 20 minutes. 1 decision. Run it once, then try it again. Next week on a different decision. So, as you use these tools, you'll notice other mental models worth adding, and your toolkit will grow. More decisions feel routine until they're not. That morning at NASA felt routine. 7 astronauts boarded the Challenger. They trusted that the people making decisions had the right tools to think clearly. Management had maps, the engineers had territory. The distance between the two things was 73 seconds of flight time. The engineers saw it coming, management didn't. Same data, different tools. When your moment comes, and trust me, it will, which group will you be in? Now, if this episode helped you think differently, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you found value here, a like would help more people see this content. If you want to go deeper, you can support this channel by becoming a paid subscriber to Studio Notes over on Substack. That's where I share the stories and experiences behind these ideas. Now, all those stories and experiences, the articles I write, are absolutely free. And if you're looking for tools to put these concepts into practice, visit our online store at innovation.tools. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.